Ladies and gentlemen, co-host of the Spittin' Chicklets podcast, Ryan Whitney.
Hey! Guys, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for the invite. What an intro. Just thinking of a horse doing a cold tub had me laughing even before this started. So appreciate it very much, Pat. How you been?
Hey, no problem. Yeah, they got those big tubs. You know, you need big tubs with a lot of water to get those horses in there. McAfee was boozing. He didn't even get any of that lotion that old, Baffert was rubbing on his horse's ass. Yeah, I think if you would have asked McAfee, that horse, hey, you want to take a little extra? You want to do a little? I think McAfee would have done it. Anything to get to the big dance. Instead, they probably killed that horse now. Rest in peace. Which is, I hope not. Whit, let's talk a little hockey, pal. I think what you guys have done with Spittin' Chicklets has made hockey bigger, better, and more notable. So I appreciate the hell out of your work, especially for the fact that you have ties to the Pittsburgh Penguins. Let's talk about this playoff series, or this playoff group as a whole. No Boston, no Pittsburgh, no New York. What are your thoughts on going into the playoffs, what it was going to be, and where we stand right now after a double overtime thriller last night on Sunday?
I think there was some worry about maybe, some fringe hockey fans who just really get looking forward to the playoffs about some original six teams missing, the ones you just mentioned. And to me, it's like following the season all along. I knew we were going to have special matchups. I never pictured for a second the first round we just got. I mean, I understand the popularity of the NBA, but like if you're watching some of these playoff hockey games and then clicking over to an NBA game, it's just the excitement level is so different. And then we had all these storylines from Tom Wilson almost killing someone and changing that series in the Bell Center in Montreal to 2 Game 7 comebacks. I read a stat. There was three times in the history of the league a team was down by 2 or more goals in the third period of a Game 7. 79, 2014, 2019, it happened twice, back-to-back, Saturday, Sunday night, with Dallas, Colorado, and then Winnipeg, St. Louis. So that kind of shows how wild it's been. Amazing to see kind of like how popular the game has become. I know there's obviously a ways to go for some of the other leagues, but I feel like hockey's growing. You talked a lot about 4 nations, and that led into a first round that no one expected would be as crazy as it was. So it's awesome that tears of pain and agony as Toronto loses again in the second round.
Yeah, it's nice to watch Biz go through that and everybody kind of dump on him. Feels like he is having a great time. Last year he was on the Oilers. This year, obviously, on the Maple Leafs. Can we talk about that double overtime thriller that happened last night? Is there a better barn in the league for that to happen to be showcased in a Game 7? Because Golden State, you talk about the NBA. You watch these NBA games. Golden State was going to win that game the entire time. No questions asked. They were up. Houston wasn't able to figure it out. Golden State's going to win that. I actually flipped over to that game. They were up 20 during the intermission heading into overtime. So then you flip back. That crowd showed up. It was an insane barn, but it's like a historically loud barn, right? Isn't this place like known to be one of the best environments in all of sports? So for them to host the double comeback is perfect, don't you think?
It was the perfect spot for it, and kind of like a tortured fan base in a way. Last year they get smoked by Colorado, and Hellebuck was a no-show, and then this year They win at home, then they get spanked on the road. They come back. They have a chance to win in St. Louis. Spanked again. Hellebuck pulled again. And then the game starts, Game 7. Now look at that crowd outside. It's insane how early people get there to watch these games without a ticket in Winnipeg. But they came out flat. They had 3 shots in the first period. They're down 2-0 7 minutes in. And people are wondering, like, do they have to pull Hellebuck? All of a sudden they get 1-2-1, but boom. Faxka scores. It's 3-1. I'm thinking it's over. 2 minutes left. They're down 2. The crowd was quiet. Even though in the second and third, Winnipeg picked it up, the crowd started getting a little bit more raucous, crazy, and now they get it to 3-2. It's like, all right, we got a ball game here. But as those final seconds wore down, I'm like, I don't think they have it. And all of a sudden, Ehlers, he actually whiffs at the point on that play, goes back to him, fires it over Kyle Connor, who's a stud, an American stud that should have played in the final game of 4 nations.
Yeah. Yep.
He whiffs on a shot, but lucky enough, it goes to Perfetti. He gets his second of the night, and it's a tie game, 1.6 seconds left. Colby Armstrong, part of our crew with Spittin' Chicklets, another Pittsburgh guy, he was saying, he was in the building, he's like, I've never, ever experienced anything like that. You couldn't hear anything. You're looking around. You're jumping around. It's a sea of white, and they move on. And that's without Mark Scheifele, their best forward, and Josh Morrissey, their best defenseman, only played 2 minutes before he left with a shoulder injury. So just a scene that was insane. I mean, the night before, Dallas had no chance. That was times 10 having no chance, being down 2 with 2 minutes to go, and they make it happen, and then in a thrilling victory in double overtime, that's it. Unreal story, and I'm happy for the people of Winnipeg. They need some good things to happen to them up there.
Yeah, amen. And I'm telling you what, they willed it into happening, I think. The way they've showed up for the playoffs. I don't know if that's all year, but you talked about that outside shit. We started noticing that and talking about that the last couple of years. I didn't know that happened. That's the whole city shows up for that. Like the whole, I don't know, what do you guys call it? Province, I guess is what they call it. The whole goddamn province seemingly shows up for this Winnipeg team. For them to get a big win, awesome. Let's talk about one of their dogs. AP Tone has a question for you, Whit.
Yeah, Whit. Neal Pionk, because of the defensive injuries, plays 46 minutes of ice time, has 3 apples last night in the game. Like, what is that? Yeah. What does the 46 minutes of ice time compare to? Like, is that just absurd?
That's crazy. That's basically you're on the ice half the game, which is like kind of unheard of. I mean, it was a little more big back in the day. Chris Pronger, Nick Lidstrom would play 30 minutes in most 60-minute games. But for this guy to do that with their number one guy out, now he was thrown in. I'm not thrown in, but he was part of the trade when Jacob Trouba was traded to the Rangers years back. But people didn't expect much. And he's turned into a legitimate number 2 defenseman on any team in the league. They signed him to a long extension right before the playoffs began. And then to show up the way he did, and even that play in double overtime, like he's kind of dancing the blue line. He makes sure he gets that shot through. And I was just happy for him because to step up that way when your team needs you, after signing the extension too, to make it like that, you're that much more proud of yourself, you know? And it's all about the team in hockey. We always talk about that on Chicklets. But this guy, he showed up. He did exactly what they needed. And now he's going to have to do more of it because I don't know the Morrissey status. But, Pat, quickly about the celebration outside. There was a video made of basically like the governor of the province. I don't know what they call him up there. And the mayor of Winnipeg. They leave the game and they're sitting there doing a video and they're like, everyone's allowed to be late to work tomorrow. Like this is just hockey country. There's nothing like it in Canada. And we got 3 Canadian teams in the Elite 8 for the first time in 21 years. So it's going to be a special second round too.
Foxy, can you go back to the beginning of this video and turn the sound up? This is when they score in double overtime. What a pop, dude.
That's a pop.
That is a pop. And they were down 3-1, obviously, with 2 minutes left. So a lot of those people could have bailed. They chose not to. The place is wild. Now, a lot of pressure on them and others. Go ahead, AJ.
Yeah, what you mentioned, 3 of the 8 teams remaining are, Canadian teams. Is this a year that you believe a Canadian team finds a way to win it all? I know it's been at least a couple decades since that has happened. Do you think this is their time?
Yeah, so you could see by my sweatshirt where I lie. I was a member of the Oilers. I was pretty much booed out of town. So you'd think that I'd have some maybe hatred in my heart for those fans, but I knew I deserved the boos. I knew I was not living up to the contract, and I totally understood where they were coming from because of the passion they have. And then McDavid came along, and I'm like, I'm all in. Like I've actually been using the analogy of people who every year bet Rory to win the Masters. It's gonna happen. He's too good. And now it's Connor McDavid. He's going to win a Stanley Cup. And every single year it's difficult. The West is better than the East. And now they got to go through Vegas. This is going to be an enormous test. They were dead in the water against LA until Jim Hiller. All of a sudden, they win 4 straight. They're moving on. So I think it could happen this year. I think Edmonton has the best chance of the Canadian teams, then Toronto, then Winnipeg. Winnipeg fans get on me a little bit. I'm not totally sold on them. So happy for them and an amazing thing. But until Hellebuck turns into Hellebuck in the regular season, in the playoffs, I really can't trust him. But it's been 22 years, I think. Or no, 32 years. 93 was the last cup in Canada, the Montreal Canadiens.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Biz was on with you guys, and he was saying it's mostly Canadian players on all the rosters, but I told him, I don't care, buddy. It's American cities.
Well, let's actually talk about a Russian on a roster in America's capital. Go ahead, Con Man.
Yeah, Whit, Ovechkin and the Capitals have kind of had the headlines for a lot of the season because of the goal chase. Obviously, he gets it done. We just had a graphic up there. The Capitals are plus 900. They got the longest odds to win the Stanley Cup, and they're going up against the Hurricanes in this next round. How do you feel about these two teams? Do you think, Ovechkin and the boys in Bandsamaker Dance might have a chance to go on a run here, or will Brind'Amour finally get the job done for Carolina?
So I like Washington in this series. I've really flip-flopped on them. I think end of November, I was like, they're going to come back to life early in the new year. I don't think they can continue, and it's just kept going and going. They rebuilt their team. Last year they were in the playoffs, got smoked, swept by the Rangers, looked like they had no business, and I was like, it's going to turn into just the Ovi goal chase, and that's kind of it for the Caps. But they brought in some big names. Jacob Chikrin's been excellent there. Dylan Strome wasn't even given a qualifying offer from the Blackhawks years back. He's been like Nicholas Backstrom for Ovi earlier in his career. And Washington's a big, tough team. Tom Wilson is a unicorn. I know I'm copying Biz on that one, but he puts the fear of God in other players. And Carolina, while being faster than Washington, they're not an overly physical team. I think Washington's going to be able to get that done. If you remember years ago, the other Russian on Carolina, Svechnikov, he squared up with Ovi. If you want to YouTube that one, I don't think he's going to be doing it again because Ovi KO'd him. So big, they're strong, they're tough, they have a great locker room vibe. You'll see interviews and the way Spencer Carberry talks to the team after in the locker room when the videos come out, it just seems like a great group. They signed Nick Dowd, who's a fourth-line center there, to an extension at the end of the year. He chugged a beer in the room in front of the boys. It's a fun group. I like Carolina's team, but I just think Washington has something special going. And Logan Thompson lost his job as the starting goaltender with Vegas. They went on to win the Stanley Cup, and he's got a lot to prove, right? He got Wally pipped a few years back, and now he's there. He came back from injury after Game 3 against the Canadiens first round, played Game 4 when everyone thought he'd be out, and he was great. So we're going to see what happens here, but I like Washington in that series, especially with the home ice.
They're currently the underdogs. You can get some good money on Washington against this raging Caniacs down there in Carolina. You talk about the team. We got Ovi on because he had a required media, I think, with ESPN. So we got him on our show. And it was, honestly, we knew this was wild that it was happening in the moment that it was happening. He starts the thing up and show us who the pilots were, but like he was like, this is Bob, say hello, and then Tom Wilson goes up. I call him a son of a bitch because obviously everything he's done with Pittsburgh. But you talk about how tight that group is. For them to be able to like kind of put their egos aside, I guess that's hockey as a whole. But the whole year, to your point, was just Ovi. They had Ovi Cam. They had a full-time Ovi Cam on him. Yep. All those other guys who have had a lot of success on that team could have kind of got a little bit jaded by it. Instead, it feels like they rallied around it because of who Ovi is. This guy, obviously greatest goal scorer of all time. I don't know if that's what you're saying in hockey world, but like he has the stat that can back that up. He'll be considered, where will he be considered whenever it comes to like great hockey player in the history of hockey as a whole? Because it feels like he lives up to everything the hockey players are. Obviously, he's great on the ice, works his dick off, loves to have a brew or two, loves the lads, positive in the change room. It's like he's a beauty, right? As an all-timer in this entire thing. How do you guys judge him?
An all-time legend. I've talked to a few guys like TJ Oshie, just kind of asked about him, right? Because unless you've played with Washington, nobody really knows him, and then they just smile when you ask him. They're like, Ovi's something else. I mean, the guy is crushing Dr. Peppers on the bench. He's hammering Cheetos every day before the game with a Subway sub. It's like all the new age of protein shakes and no alcohol and working out. Ovi's like, none. I score goals. I run people over. I drink when I want. I eat what I want, and I show up and I watch. I think that how he's played physically is the most mind-boggling thing for me. Like he's been running people over for 20 years. He somehow and by the way, this year, like him breaking his leg. He broke his leg. It came back. It still broke the record. He might have broken the record in February had he not had that injury. But first time I ever played against Ovi, World Juniors 2003 in Halifax, Nova Scotia. He's a 16-year-old, and that's a tournament for 19, 20-year-olds. And he had a hat trick against us in the first game, and he had a cage on, full cage. And a couple guys over that game. So it's been amazing to witness and be a part of. And I actually, it sounds a little soft, but I was watching with my sons when he broke the record. I made sure we were watching that game, and I was like a little emotional just thinking like that's an all-time NHL record everyone said would never be broken. And it was just more like I got the chance to play against him. Like we were rookies the same year. I actually got fined $2,500 for spearing him right in the beanbag. I didn't mean to, but I got fined.
Of course.
I got fined.
Of course.
And I got him, and he was like, "Oh!" on the ice. I was like, "Oh shit, somebody's gonna kill me."
Tom Wilson would have been that guy if he would have been around.
Thank God he
time.
wasn't in the league, Pat. Thank God he wasn't in.
Yeah. Yeah, old Whit would have got a little bit hit there on the return. She had a receipt coming back to Whitney. But you think about Ovi and how physical he is. We saw him fight people in the Penguins series. Like that was a great rivalry for us to watch. Yeah. Pittsburgh and Washington, obviously Sydney and everything he's been able to do. But Tom Wilson becoming like a gifted goal scorer, 30-plus goals, 200-plus hits, only guy in the NHL. It's like I love that team. I love everything they're about. I also love everything going on down in Florida because South Florida is not supposed to be the home of hockey, but it certainly feels like it. D-Bud has a question for you, Whit.
Hell yeah, new hockey town, Whit. But we're talking about a great locker room. It's an absolute great locker room down there. Is what great change room, as we call it. But with all the guys getting back together, how do you see this series going?
As we call it. You're right.
So I was out there, Pittsburgh in the change room with the lads. But how do you see this series going with Toronto down here with the Panthers?
I think Craig Berube being the coach of the Leafs, winning the Stanley Cup with St. Louis, being a no bullshit guy changes this Leafs team. I think they're more mature. I think they're more patient. And I think they're still going to get completely dominated. And it's nothing really against them. It's just Florida has this bully mentality. Like they go into games and they say, we're going to drive you insane. We're going to spear you. We're going to elbow you in the head. We don't mind guys taking suspensions. This is how you win a cup. And there's people who hate watching them. But what does their fan base love? They love the Panthers and they love the way they play. And they're able to continue to come at you wave after wave. They got physical guys, they got rats, they got skilled players, and they have one of the best goalies who will be a Hall of Famer in Sergei Bobrovsky. I mean, you look at this Sam Bennett goal on the screen right now. Sam Bennett will put his elbow right through your chin and then laugh as you're sitting there with a broken jaw looking up at him. Like, they have sickos. They have, like, sociopaths on their team, but that's what wins Stanley Cups. It sounds crazy, and there's so much skill that goes into that. So I think the crowd has become amazing down there. I played there for 7 games before my NHL career ended, and I was sent to the minors, and it was a dark time, and it had been a dark time for a long time in southern Florida.
Oh, yeah.
And now they've just turned into a wagon, and they'll beat you with skill, they'll beat you with brawn, and they'll really, really shove it in your face after. So I like this Leafs team, I do, but Brad Marchand's on their third line. Like, you say that, I mean, that's like enough said. That shows the depth, and that shows what that team can bring every night. So I like Florida in 6, maybe 5. Biz is saying we'd have to beat him in 7. I know he knows in his heart that they're in one.
Biz knows.
Yeah, and I think that's why he's so loud. I know that's why he's so loud. And every time he gets a chance to talk to Kachuk, I saw him doing some. That was a lot of heavy questions he was asking. As soon as he came on the show, Biz just started unloading. Hey, we can do any late hits. What do you think about this? He just started unraveling on. I mean, it was real deal. I think he knows, though. That's why. He's trying to help. He's trying to get into Kachuk's head. He thinks he can be the 6th man off the ice for this Maple Leafs team, I think, personally.
If you put a lie detector on him and asked him, are you on the Maple Leafs? Like, he's saying yes, and he's passing the lie detector. He's completely deranged enough to think, like, I'm a part of this team. He said that they picked him up on waivers the same time the Coyotes did, but the Coyotes were lower in the standings. He's like, I would have been a Leaf too. But I said, all right, bud. But Kachuk came on, and he's dropping Ekblad steroid bombs. He's talking about Kachuk's late hit on Jake Gensel. And it's funny, Jans was, what are you doing? I just brought one of the best players in the league on the show. But Biz, I knew when I saw him pop on, I go, he's in Leafs mode right now. He's lost in the sauce of the Leafs, and this is not going to be war with this guy. I said, Biz, you work for TNT. Biz threw confetti. He had a speech and confetti falling from the ceiling when they won the first round against Ottawa. They were the 7th team in the conference. So I love his passion, and I love the fact that he truly, truly believes it's our year, as he says. But 1967 was a long time ago, boys. And the Florida Panthers.
Long time ago, brother.
Oh, they don't give a shit. The Panthers, they did it to him 2 years ago in Game 5, and I think maybe they get one more game this year. It goes to 6.
Okay, so my question on you talked about the Dogs and how Marchand is the third liner. Boston Connor gave up on the Bruins because they traded Brad down there.
It's true. It's true.
I don't blame you, Connor.
Documented.
He was so pissed. How'd that happen? Did everybody in the league know that Marchand was available? And how does he go to the Stanley Cup champions? Like, how is that even possible? Yeah, legitimately, how is that even possible? As soon as it comes up, we thought it was a lie. We thought it was like a NHL send-tell tweet. We didn't even know that it was possible for Brad to leave. What the hell happened there? How did we get to that spot? And what are the Bruins going forward, Whit?
Wow, that's a tough question. The Marchand aspect of it, he wanted to be a Bruin. I mean, Patrice Bergeron, they came up together. I think he taught him everything he knows about leadership and how to be a leader and a professional. And he wanted to retire a Bruin, but they lowballed him. They really did lowball him. He wanted to stay there. And at one point, he said, I'm not signing this deal that you guys are telling me. Take it or leave it. And then he ends up in Florida. Actually, I believe that was Don Sweeney and the Bruins kind of doing him a solid in a way, like giving him a chance to go somewhere where he wants to win or has a chance to win. I mean, I respect that, though. I respect that. Like, if you're going to lowball him, at least help him out on the way out. So they sent him to a team that did not need him. Let's put it that way. For Panthers haters out there, anyone who hated the Panthers and didn't want to see them repeat to see him go. It's Bennett, Tkachuk, and Marchand together. It's just three lunatics running around that can all score, too. So I think that the Bruins now are in a really tough spot. They have a great goalie. They have a great defenseman, and they have a superstar forward. Swayman, McAvoy, Pastrnak. That is an awesome nucleus. But after that, there is not much. And a lot of years of really tough drafting has put them in a spot where, while being an original six great hockey town that can get free agents, it's hard to win with just doing it through free agency. You need guys on entry-level deals having a big part of your team and a big part of the success, and they don't have much coming for prospects. So I don't know if they end up really tearing it down. Maybe Swayman gets traded. This is all kind of crazy talk. Or they're able to reload quick.
They need to get rid of Sweeney, okay? Sweeney needs to go. It's time for him to pack his bags. You just said, how's this guy have a job if he sucks at drafting and then he trades Brad Marchand? Like, what are we talking about? You said that, not me, but I think everybody in Boston, as far as Boston sports goes right now, you know, the Celtics are the Celtics, the Patriots are the Patriots for Vrabel, the Red Sox are even winning games. Like, Sweeney is public enemy number one in New England. Like, how's this guy have a job? When are they just going to cut his nuts off and let him go?
So if I shut my eyes right now, like I'm in the Erie pub in Dorchester right now talking to a local that is disgusted with the Boston Bruins and Don Sweeney. I don't know.
That's what Connor is, yes.
Yeah, I it's a great question. Obviously, Cam Neely believes in him. And while the drafting hasn't gone well, he's made some great trades. I mean, that year Florida got them when they lost to Vegas, like, that was a great team. They beat Florida. They're going on to the Cup final, I believe, and they had traded for Hall, and they had traded for Lindholm, and they'd made some great moves in Orlov. But the drafting part of the game now is so important based on the salary cap and having guys making $850, $900 for 3 years that are doing something for your team, and they don't have that. So I would think if this year's a disaster too, maybe they look to make a change. And I thought that they might this season, but it seems with the success they've had in the regular season that Cam Neely is willing to keep Don Sweeney and believes that he can be the guy that gets them back into prominence and as a cup contender. I don't know. That is a huge source of contention in this city right now. I'll say that.